Hi guys, and welcome to Author Chat. Today, of course, we have our co-host LaurieAnnForest and one of the authors that she knows. Is it Shayla or
Shaila, yeah, Shaila.
Sheila? Shayla?
Shaila.
Shayla Patel?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'm always excited when I get it right. So
Yeah.
awesome. Of course, as always, you guys can submit comments either here or on Twitter, and just make sure to tag us so we can find it. And Shayla also has a giveaway for you guys that we will mention throughout the show because right now we're alone and nobody's watching us. We're talking to ourselves.
That's okay. It tapes though, right? So people can watch it?
It tapes. Yeah. So
we can throw it up. We can throw it
if
up.
you want to actually like wait until like the end of the week to pick a winner, so if somebody like after it's been taped and it's posted on there, if somebody else comments and you can answer their question, then
you can put it down in the,
yeah, I can add it to the description.
And I can I'll pick a winner. Let's say Friday, 12 noon Eastern time.
That works.
Yeah, and it's basically, just to describe it, is it's based on my book, Soulmated, which features an Irish hero and an Indian American heroine. So the Soulmated blend tea is it's basically Assam tea from Irish breakfast, the kind that you'd find in Irish breakfast tea, and mixed in with Indian chai spices. So
chai is amazing. And of course, as always, if you guys have questions, you can toss them up there and I will put them on air. And we have a shout out to Allie says hello to everybody.
Hello,
Allie. Right. So are you on the Eastern Coast like the rest of us, or are you somewhere else? Oh,
I'm in the Carolinas. Yeah.
Oh, you're Carolina. Okay. Nice. Supposed to get down in the 50s here tonight. I was like, wow, that's a
it was, I think, 65 here. So that's it was.
But I'm in Florida.
Oh,
you're Florida. Like the 90s in the daytime. So it goes down into like the 50s at night is like whoa.
Yeah.
It's like whoa.
I grew up in South Florida, in Fort Lauderdale or near Fort Lauderdale, and then I went to school.
Where's Fort Lauderdale?
Near Miami.
Oh, near Miami. Okay, no, we're way north of that. We're like smack dab between Orlando and Tampa. I almost said Texas.
Oh, okay. So I have family in Tampa. Tons and tons of friends in Orlando. I went to school in Gainesville, so I'm a Gator. Grew up in South Florida, outside of Fort Lauderdale. So, Florida girl.
Jennifer Eaton says hello, and she says, "Shayla, you're all dressed up." I feel so frumpy. You look so pretty.
Jennifer I love her her space romance. She's got Fire in the Woods. It's this alien romance, comes down. So she writes action. Oh my God, Laurie, you got to read her book. It's like one of those page turners. Like every chapter, you're like, oh, I gotta take a breath. Oh my God, take a breath.
You have to send me the link. Send me the link.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, she writes. But see, I didn't know the title, but I know like the covers. Those covers are so cool.
Yes.
Like, now do what you were doing. That's like, what way do I go?
Yep.
Maybe Jennifer wants to get on the show too. Those looking nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So, of course, as always, who are you and what do you do?
Who, me or Laurie? No, just kidding. Laurie knows me, right?
Yeah. This was like an excuse to just see Shayla again.
We were, Laurie and I debuted together in 2017.
wow.
The Black Witch, and then I wrote Soulmated, and so we both debuted in 2017, and mine is a teen paranormal romance about an Irish empath prince. So empaths are people who can sense your emotions, right? They can tell exactly what you're feeling, and he is being forced by his parents to find his empath soulmate. So to be soulmated, and hence the title, gives a couple real special powers. It's a legendary union, so it's something that really doesn't occur but once every 100, 150 years. So it's a big deal. And his parents are kind of forcing him to find it because his dad's a psychic and had seen that his son is going to be part of one of these unions. So they're searching around the country. They know she's an American, so they've been moving from city to city in America looking for this girl. And at the beginning of the book, he turns 18, and he's like, "Good, I'm done. We're done with this search. You know, who wants to find a soulmate? I'm 18. You know, I want to move on with my life." But you know, his mom talks him into coming to one last place. And of course, he moves in next to an Indian girl named Lakshmi Kapadia. And, well, he falls for her, but the problem is that she's not an empath. So he has to figure out what he's willing to sacrifice if he can't prove that she's the one. So that's book 1. Book 2 and book 3 are out. Fighting Fate is book 2. And Enduring Destiny is book 3. And
I love that cover.
Yeah, well, we were talking about in the beginning, like before we started, we were talking about how Laurie and I write really long. This book, Enduring Destiny, is about over 500 pages. I mean, look at
Did you use a different person for the cover art?
Yes, I have book 1's cover. So when a new cover. So we're waiting to recover this one to match other two,
right?
You know,
you even now looking at the print copy, like you can tell, like the first one's like just ever so slightly pixelated, and the other one is very nice and crisp. It looks really nice. Yeah.
So these, so Enduring Destiny, book 3 finishes the series, and it actually takes Lucky's her nickname. So from Lakshmi we go to Lucky. So Lucky and Liam actually end up going from America to Ireland and to India. So the series actually ends in India. So it's really kind of cool. I do set it up for some, spin-off series, once I want to get back into this world. But I mean, Laurie, you know what it's like when you're writing these long books and you're in the same world and you love it. And at the same time, you're like, oh, I'm itching to do something different.
Well, all right, let me just say the chemistry in this book, well, these books, it's off the charts between Liam and Lucky. It's so much fun. And she is the queen of the supernatural kiss. So people that like fantasy romance, this is very highly recommended.
Yeah, the kiss, the supernatural kiss. It's
really good.
So our first writing question is for both of you guys, actually. Mm-hmm. So speaking of spin-offs, of course, your books are self-published, so you can pretty much do what you want with them. If you want to do 80 million spin-offs.
So book 80 million right. Book 1 is actually with a publisher.
Oh, okay.
And then I decided to self-publish 2 and 3. And I mean, it does give you a lot of freedom to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I wanted to do 12 books, I could do 12 books, with it. I could have broken it up, but I was done. I was like,
that is done. Sick. Hey, I love long books. Long books are awesome. So, Laurie, do you think if you had another idea for another spin-off that your publisher would allow you to do that in the world of the Black Witch?
In the world of Black Witch, I don't know. But I mean, I'm certainly open to self-publishing down the road if I wanted to do a project that they weren't interested in. But I love my publisher, so I would hope to keep working with them. We'll see.
It's these amazing series that we just never want them to end. So it's like, okay, you get a story, and you get a story, and you get a story. Everybody gets a story, and they ever go get 500-600 page stories, and we'll all be happy forever.
Yeah, well, I mean, the novellas to my series were supposed to be 80 pages, and they turned out to be 300 pages each.
Not Laurie's.
I know. I'm wordy. I'm very, very wordy. So.
Yeah. No, but Laurie and I. We both write long, and I, I'm still amazed that you got away with writing 600 pages for book 1. Like I really am, because that's just unheard of,
I know. Well, I think it was because it was 1,200 pages, and then they cut it in half. So I think that was kind of the concession. Yeah.
I mean, when I was querying, right, and when I got my publisher, I thought it was so horrible because I wasn't even finished with edits, and she was like, "Well, that doesn't mean you can't, pitch it to me and turn it in." And I did, and I'm like literally in the middle of editing. I had hired an editor, and I was doing those edits, and I rushed through them. And I think I actually left one of the wrong chapters in the book, and she bought the book. And then when I mentioned it, I said, "Oh, by the way, I think chapter 6 was in there twice because I had the old chapter 6 and the new chapter 6." And she goes, "Yeah, I figured." Yeah, I figured. So I was like, but yeah, I know that when we were in contracts, we were talking about just a 3-book series, and at the time, I actually had 5 books planned.
I didn't know that.
I had 5 books planned, and that's, I think, part of the reason why books 2 and book 3 are as long as they are. I mean, book 2 isn't as long as 3, but and I think a lot of it has to do with you start learning about pacing and all the things that need to go into stories to not make the plot seem contrived.
Yeah.
So a lot of that kind of helped me cut back. Because I honestly, when I got to book 3, I was kind of like, okay, I'm done. I had this, my romantic suspense series that I'm actually working on that story, but we were talking about that before we started. But Laurie knows about that story, and I was really anxious about getting that going, that series, because those are going to be standalones. But I've got 3 stories planned, and they're all pharmaceutical based or contemporary. So
can I throw in an interesting fact about Shaila? Shaila is very much like me because she's also a sciencey person.
Yes.
So I don't know if you want to tell everybody. I mean, people are very surprised to find out I'm a dentist. I don't know if you want to tell everybody about yourself.
So my background's in pharmacy. So I was a pharmacist for about 10 years, and now I'm actually an administrator at a pediatric office. So I manage a pediatric office. So I'm very like, I think I'm like Laurie, very 50-50, right brain, left brain, and I love the creative aspect of every, like, writing, arts, whatever, music, but I'm also very logical and science. I kind of feel like for me to really be fulfilled, how some people are like, oh, I'm an artist, and they can stay in their art studio or whatever it is, for 3 weeks at a time and never surface. I need to kind of do both. So some days I need to be the organized administrator and whip out all my, highlighters and sticky notes, and come up with flow charts, for things. And then there's days where I'm just like, I'm in my yoga pants. I haven't washed my hair in 5 days, and I'm working on, outlining or storytelling, or, I'm just staring out into space out the window for 3 hours, because I'm planning a scene, so I'm very, I think Laurie and I, maybe we clicked so well because of that. We're both really a good mix of both, 50-50, But that pharmaceutical series, there's really nothing like that in young adults. So the first book, I'm focusing on corrupt doctors and prescription, prescription drug networks, black market drugs. And then the second one I'm working on now, plotting it out. And that one I want to do kind of a corporate spy thing with pharmaceutical industries and, third world country governments that are trying to keep U.S. pharmaceutical companies out because they want to test on, their indigent population. And if you're a small third world country and you've got some big multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical company wanting to come in and pay the government to, test drugs. So that happens. I know there were reports as recent as 91 that they were doing that in the slums of Brazil and India. So big corporate multinational companies or international companies, they'll come in and do these. Oh, we're testing drugs and we'll pay your government and all this, all the corruption.
That's insane.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the second book. The third book, I want to focus that a little bit more local again. A pharmacy tech who is, who's being used by her boyfriend, who's the love interest, who's kind of doing it because he has no choice, to try to use her to try to steal drugs and divert narcotics from the store each and every day. So it's kind of like three different aspects of the pharmacy world, corporate, the physician side of it, and then the supply side of it, I guess, the stores. So anyway, but yeah, I really wanted to get that started. So for me, at that point, I was writing book 3, and I was like, yeah, book 4 and 5, I'm done. Sorry, I'm done. I need to move on. And since then, I have all these other book ideas, and so yeah, I don't have enough time in the day to sit there and do the writing. You got to work, and so you do what you can. So yeah, I did cut that series down to 3, but I did leave it open for a spin-off series, and left a lot of possibilities. So once I kind of cut my teeth into the pharmaceutical series and move that along, I could probably start thinking about what I need to do. There is actually kind of a prequel that I want to do with Soulmated. It's kind of a historical prequel. So it's going to take us back to 4,500 years ago, kind of in the Indus Valley civilization time, right, in India. And what I was thinking is that you can have some Mesopotamian traders that have a Irish, because Ireland really wasn't Ireland back then, but an Irish slave that was then brought to India. And he meets a woman there, and they're the very first soulmated couple that starts this whole journey that ties Lucky.
Oh, that sounds great. That sounds so good.
So I bring a lot of that history up in book 3. So that's kind of one of the reasons why they're in India at the end of the story, and that kind of leaves it open for me to write their story, that starts the whole soulmated thing. But that's daunting to think about writing historical. I think
it's hard.
Yeah, but
okay,
I have started the research already, getting a lot of audiobooks and information about like the Indus Valley civilization, and then kind of that era, 2500 BC, right? I can't remember now. I think it was right before the Bronze Age, so just trying to think,
like way back there.
Yeah, I know they had ships because they had trade and all of that, or I mean even on foot. But yeah, so all that little stuff, trying to the rabbit holes of learning history.
Jennifer Eaton said, "Oh my God, The Black Witch! Just realized I love that book. I guess she didn't know who you were."
Laurie.
You said Laurie's world building was awesome. It didn't seem that long. And then Allie wants to know, Laurie, would you consider writing a novella for Ivan? He's my favorite character, and I would love to know about him. And then she also wanted to know if Shaila was doing a novella, which of course you just stated that you were, and that she wants you to write the prequel.
I will definitely write the prequel. I have a lot of notes going. So, I mean, it's not one of those, maybe I will. I mean, I really do intend to write it. It's just timing, I did take a break after I finished Enduring Destiny, book 3, and I worked on that short story, Laurie, that we were talking about. And, as long as, as many words as Laurie and I put down, writing a short story,
it's hard.
Was no joke. 10,000 words. I was like, oh, that's a lot, and then I get down to it and I'm like, oh, I already have 15.
Can you tell everybody about that project? Because it's really interesting. I don't know if you have the book itself.
Oh, you know what? I don't have it in front of me, no. But so Love on Main is a short story anthology. The majority of the stories are young adult. I think there's 2 that are adult, but they're clean. I mean, it's kind of the way that the publisher describes it. It's like Gilmore Girls level romance, right? And I kind of liken all the stories to a Hallmark movie. Like if you like those Hallmark movie romances, Love on Main, they're just quick little stories, and they kind of have that feel. But the premise is small town romances. So my story is about Michael and Shreya, and I'm actually going to pull up this quick little blurb of it. But it's while escaping a clingy ex-star quarterback, Michael Bradford runs into the captivating newcomer Shreya Sangani and can't stop fumbling his words. After insulting her with his insensitive comments, he's determined to make amends when they're paired for a class assignment, even if their cultures aren't the only things clashing. So it's called Culture Clash on Main. And Shreya's mom just moved to the States. She was a diplomat, so they've been living in different countries forever. And she moves to Rock Hill, South Carolina, which is where my office is, actually, where I work. And they have their main streets, classic small town main street. Although Rock Hill is big. I mean, it's like 50 to 60,000 population, so it's not a tiny like 5,000 people town or anything. But yeah. So she opens up like this Indian bistro, kind of a cafe, a fusion cafe, and so he is at a fundraiser at a bookstore, a couple stores down, and he's like I said, he's running away from his ex-girlfriend, trying to get away from her because his mom is like trying to set them up, trying to get them back together. And so he runs in there, and they just have the chemistry, right? They start kind of talking, bantering, and but she's really hesitant to make new friends because every time she has to move, since her mom's a diplomat, she basically runs into all these situations of microaggressions and you don't belong here, and are you sure you're Indian enough? Are you American enough? And so she has all these identity issues because of the microaggressions that she experiences, and she's kind of hesitant because she thinks maybe Michael's going to do the same thing, right? She makes a friend, she hits it off, and then when that friend introduces her to everybody else and they say something that's insulting, and she tries to stand up for herself, they're like, well, they didn't mean it, and so she's like, so I have to be the one to always feel bad about what they say, and you don't even defend me. So she's kind of like, is it going to be like this, right? And then the minute the ex-girlfriend comes in, she's going to be your snippy, like, oh, don't they have anything normal to eat here? And he doesn't set her straight. So, of course, she's like, great. He's just like everybody else, right? And so she's disappointed, and he realizes that her feelings are hurt, but he's kind of caught in this, what do I do, And so then when they get stuck together on this class project, he's thinking, oh, great, this is my way to make amends. And of course, he steps in it once again. And so he has this kind of this learning curve on, what are microaggressions? How do I watch myself? How do I learn what to say, what not to say? And then at the same time, it's about her coming to terms with being open enough to communicate, right? I mean, it's great and easy to just write people off. I mean, I've had to write people off, but I've also, once somebody becomes important to you, you have to learn to communicate and say, that hurt my feelings. So it's kind of this thing where they come together at the end, obviously because it's a romance, so there's a happily ever after. In 10,000 words, no less, Laurie. Very surprised I tackled that topic in 10,000 words. You don't know how tough that was.
I'm going to buy that book just to see that.
Yes. So the story, it came together really nicely because it really was about communication, right? I mean, yes, you have someone who stupidly keeps putting his foot in his mouth, and he's trying and he's learning. When do you make that decision for yourself that it's okay now? Because everyone has heard that intent versus impact, right? If you elbow someone in the side by mistake, you didn't intend to hurt the person at your side, but the impact is that you did, so you apologize. You don't say, I'm sorry you were in my space. No, you say, I'm sorry I hurt you. And a lot of times when somebody says something, a microaggression or something that's racist or hurtful, and they don't realize it, you have to apologize. You just have to own up that the impact of what you said hurt this other person. It doesn't matter whether you think it was hurtful or not. It doesn't matter that that wasn't your intention. If you're a stranger, then yeah, that intention doesn't matter. But if you're a friend, you know, when do you draw that line and find out that the intention does mitigate the impact? And I mean, for every person, you know, that's in a marginalized group, you make those decisions based on the people you meet and start caring about. And communication is a big thing. Like if you make friends with somebody who constantly teases you for the color of your skin or for your religion or for anything, you know, you have to decide, are they really your friend? And if they are, can you talk to them? And can you have an open and honest relationship with them and say, this is how I feel? And if they learn and you're okay with that, you know, then you advance that relationship, you know, that friendship, and you know that that's part of growing up in a way, you know, and making friends and kind of navigating a lot of those social pitfalls. So so yeah, it was an interesting story. I kind of wish I had more than 10,000 just to kind of really, okay, but that's just me wanting to write more. Okay, never mind.
You should like wait till it comes out, and then like can you like still take that story and like add to it and republish it maybe?
I think the publisher owns the rights for, I want to say 4 years. Mm-hmm. So I could after 4 years take that story off the market
and
expand it into a full novel. Yeah, I could always do that. But yeah, I really did. I fell in love with them. Like I was just kind of, you know, and both of them, you know, had their resolution at the end. I still did it in dual point of view, which that was even harder because now you have to
okay, and when does this book come out?
It's already out.
Oh, it's already out.
Yeah. February. It came out February 11th. It's called Love on Main. You could, you know, look it up by, you know, it's on my website too, ShailaPatelAuthor.com. So if you look on that landing page, it's right on my books page. You'll see, you know, you'll see that the cover.
I think I did a promo for that.
Did you?
That looks familiar. That looks very familiar.
You might have.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Ooh. So the next question is, after a full day of writing and stuff, how do you decompress and put the writing away and focus on, you know, the rest of your life, or just, you know, going to bed?
For me, reading. I'll read. This is awful to admit, but I don't watch TV anymore. I don't have time. I really don't. So I used to watch a lot of TV, and I mean, I could binge watch the hell out of anything, really. But I stopped because between work and writing, if I really wanted to make a go at writing, I needed every minute, you know, to write. So I would come home from work, and I'm a night owl, so I will work until sometimes midnight, 1, 2 in the morning. Get up in the morning, go to work. So there was no time in there for TV. So when I do need to stop writing, for whatever reason, I'm at an impasse in a story, I need to give my brain a rest. I'll either read, you know, talk to family, call, you know what I mean, catch up on social media, that kind of stuff. I mean, social media, you just kind of weave that into your day. I don't know, Laurie. Laurie's on every time. I'm like, dang it, that woman's on her phone again. Like she's
I like social media a little too much.
I know, right?
I'm gonna try and pull away next month. It's kind of my goal. It's just read and write and really immerse myself. But I'm curious, Shaila, do you still have that favorite writing spot?
Yes. I should tell you guys about
she has the ultimate people watching writing spot for a romance author, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So I love beer. I'm an author. I love beer. But this is really only water. Okay, promise. But I do. So the problem is that if I just have a beer while I'm writing, it'll really knock me out. Like I will just be tired and I'll fall asleep, and that'll be the end of it. There's my evening, whatever. So I can't drink and write at home. I don't even really drink at home much at all. So anyway, so I actually go out. I started going to sports bars and dive bars, and where there's like a lot of TV and noise in the background. Because if I go to like a coffee shop, right? I mean, that's your standard. You'll see authors, and they'll have the little earbuds and their laptops in the corner, drinking their 80th cup of coffee. But well, one, if I had that much coffee, I mean, I talk fast now, Laurie. I would be like,
maybe decaf
right.
coffee.
Well, yeah, I could do that, but that's like, I don't know.
Well, I talk fast too, so to me, it's perfectly paced, actually.
So anyway, so if I'm there, right? Coffee shops they've got their noise, but it's actually Jennifer, she's not kidding about the beer. I see that comment. So yeah, but anyway, so the coffee shops are too quiet. Even Panera, like if I have to eat a meal, I'm going to go to Panera. I might bring my laptop, whatever. But the thing is like the table next to you, you've got some soccer moms talking about coach drama. Over there you've got college students talking about something. You've got an interview going on behind you. And the thing is it's not noisy enough to drown out all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to a sports bar, okay, there's a couple right in my area. If you go there, you've got 18 TVs. Usually you've got music pumping in the background as well. You've got all the din of the diners, and all that stuff. You still have so much noise, it becomes white noise. And I can have a beer and not fall asleep because I'm in public. So there's that self-preservation. They're like, don't fall asleep. Some creep is going to take your laptop. But yeah. So anyway, so I go to bars and I'll bring my laptop, and if I'm like stuck on something or I'm taking that mental break from whatever paragraph I'm editing or writing or whatever, I will actually people watch, and you'll be surprised what you can read from body language, right? I've been places where you can watch some guy hitting on a girl. You've got a couple that's, you could tell at least it looks like they've been married for a while, or at least they're a couple for a while, just by the way they don't interact, right? It's kind of sad, but it's funny. I mean, in a way, because you do pick up on a lot of things, and then I meet a million people, because once you go, if you're going to a dive bar, you're going to a bar, and people start getting to know you, they see you as a regular, right? So I've been known as Writer Girl at a couple bars. So I definitely, I enjoy that. I mean, people they come up to me. I've got some of the bartenders who actually know me, and they'll kind of look out for me, make sure the real big creep boys stay away from me. But yeah, they'll come up to me. I'll have, there was one bar that used to go to a lot, and they used to have bands on Friday and Saturday night. And so I would get there as soon as they open, park myself in a little corner table, and the band would come in, and about 1 o'clock in the morning, the band would leave, and I'm still there, And I've met all these new people that way. I've met readers that way. I've heard stories, because then everyone would be like, "What's that girl doing with her laptop? Is she an auditor? Like, is she with the band?" I've had that question. One band I actually met. So like when they were all hanging out afterward, and they're like, unplugging and taking everything out, they came up to me and asked me like, "Well, what are you still doing here?" And I found out that one of the I forgot. I can't remember if he played bass or I'm pretty sure he was playing guitar. But anyway, he actually knows a romance author that I had read and know about. So that romance author and I became friends. But so it was just kind of a small world, because I think she's out of Ohio. Like, how on earth in the Carolinas, would would this one random guitar player, know a romance author? But it was just because of, when I said I write, and I said, I write romance. He goes, "Oh, I've read a romance novel," and I'm like, "Get out of town!" And he's like, "Yeah, no, I read this book," and I was like, I looked at him, and I think I may have actually jumped in his arms and hugged him. I don't remember. But I was so like, "You read that book? It's one of my favorites! Oh my god!" And I kind of like fangirled on him for her.
Fangirl adjacent.
Yes, exactly.
Well, now I'm curious to know what book that is.
Oh, okay. So it's an adult romance. It's called Transcendence, and it's by Shay Savage, and it is, get ready for this, a caveman time travel romance. I kid you not.
That's an interesting combination.
And it is one of my favorite books. I swear you, it sounds like the weirdest premise ever.
Don't poke on your water, Laurie. I can give you CPR.
but I'm telling you, it is it's an adult romance. So for those of you out there that are young adult readers, it is an adult romance. So there is sex and stuff in there. It's steamy. But the thing is that there. Oh, and the other thing is there is no dialogue in this book.
Oh, weird.
Really?
Yes.
You're kidding.
And but you know exactly what's going on. It's all told in this caveman's point of view, and he's describing basically a modern girl, an 18-year-old girl, gets transported back into that time frame, and because he's I don't know if that means he's a Neanderthal, but the Broca's region in the brain, Laurie, the one that's is in charge of like language or whatever. Mm-hmm. This is that type of human, pre-human, whatever that I guess not a pre-human, but a human. But he doesn't have speech, so he doesn't have a speech center. So he's able to make a couple of sounds, right? And they've learned to communicate. But it's amazing because without language, like you get this whole aspect of how do you communicate with someone, right? And you know that she's talking because he's like sitting there going, she's making, because he thinks she's his mate, right? So throughout the story, he calls her his mate, and he goes, "My mate's making these weird mouth sounds. I don't understand what she's saying." I mean, I am roaring with laughter, like it's some places. But his idea of love and his devotion to her, I mean, it is, just mind blowing.
This is called Transcendence.
Transcendence.
I'm looking. This is very interesting.
Yeah, and but the thing is like, how do you communicate, right? And how do you define love in a situation like that? What do you do when you don't have doctors? And how do you explain to someone, no, we can't sleep together because I can get pregnant? When that's his goal, because it's just so well done. I mean, I'm being a little funny about it, but it's a really well done book. And yeah, there we go.
Oh, look at that. Okay, that's a good cover.
Yeah,
right there.
But it is, look at the reviews. I mean, you go to Goodreads and look at the reviews. It is people just. I mean, it's not one of my top 5 romance favorites for nothing. Like it's really a good book. And
I love the description. That's funny.
Yeah, it is. It's. I mean, when I say my favorite book is a caveman.
It was like halfway down this thing, it's like that his purpose in life is to provide for her, protect her, put a baby in her. It's like, wow.
Yeah,
don't be around the bush on that one.
So I mean, when you think about erotica, right? Like they're just these cheesy kind of
right.
But this just it kind of has that sound to it, but it's not. I mean, it really is. It's a true romance novel, and it's really well done. I mean, and I told Shay this, right? So after I'd read this book, I meet John Paul in this band, and when he hears my name, right, because her name is Shay, Shay, and mine's Shaila. So he goes, I read romance, and of course, I'm looking now. I'm obviously you can't tell this audience, but I'm 5 feet tall. So here I am. I'm standing next to this guitarist who's like 6'2". You know, I'm looking up, and he's like looking down at me. He's like, "Yeah, I read romance." I'm like, "Yes." And he's like, "No, I do." And he goes, "Yeah." Actually, "You, what did he say?" But when he said it, he goes, "She's got your name," or he said something like that. And I was like, "What? Like, what do you mean?" I go, "I don't know anyone who's got my name, right?" And he says, "Well, no, it's not exactly like yours. It's, you know," when he says it, he says, "Shay Savage." My eyes bugged out. I think I jumped up and down. I was like, "Oh my God, you read that book?" And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "It was pretty good." So you have his, you know, seal of approval. He's a guitarist who actually read, you know, and likes her work. So, but it is. I told you we were going to be all over the place with this, right, Jessica, before the show? Laurie, I just wanted to hang
the minute I get off of here, actually. I'm gonna fess up right now. I'm gonna do that.
Somebody want to know what the pattern on your dress is, or is it a shirt?
Oh, it's a shirt. It's a shirt. And
it looks like keys.
See?
Oh, it's not. Okay, so it's like this design. It looks like keys. It looks like the big ones are like keyholes, and then the little ones are like the keys.
Maybe.
From like far away.
It kind of looks that way, doesn't it? But it's maybe it just kind of has just those little designs.
You guys can wear you can wear cute summer dresses. It was snowing here the other day.
Oh,
yeah, I'll take the snow.
Yeah. And wait a minute, you take the snow. Didn't you just complain about 50 degrees weather?
No, I like the cold. The cold doesn't bother me. I'm from Ohio originally. No, it's just kind of weird because it's been up in the 90s here, and then we had a big storm come through. But still, at nighttime, it's been like in the 80s. So I have an echo thing over here. So seeing that it was going to be down into the 50s, and I was like, whoa, that's kind of out of the blue. It's weird, especially for, you know, April, the end of April.
So the Carolinas tend to be very 4 seasons, right? You get 4 solid seasons, and they generally stay pretty good. Like right now, we're 60s and 70s. We did have a few nights where it dipped down into the 30s. I think it was last week.
So that's nice weather. I could go for that.
So yes,
I want to go visit snow. I haven't seen snow since like 2009, but I don't want to stay in snow.
Yeah, that's true.
We are in it for a while when we're in it. Yeah.
We surprisingly didn't get anything in the Carolinas this year. I think we did have some ice. I think I was at a book event, and I was actually at the hotel worrying about, you know, how are we going to open in the morning because of black ice and that sort of thing. We did. So we had to delay open one day. Well, you know, so I'm in a hotel room at like 6 a.m, you know, calling them like, "What's the weather over there?" In, you know, in the Carolinas. And then, you know,
Shaila, do you do the RWA every year?
I do.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, it has been. This year I'm not going for a couple of reasons, but did you hear about a lot of the drama that happened?
Yeah.
Laurie?
Yeah, that was insane.
Yeah, it was.
So was there something? There was something about like representation or something. I don't. What happened?
So they've been really trying to make They've had some really tough times trying to make RWA more inclusive, more diverse. And, you know, every year we butt up against people that kind of want to keep it the status quo. And so what happened in the middle of last year, and I'm really not, I mean, I'm an RWA member, but I'm not, you know, I'm not like a spokesperson here. So if you really want more information, or if any of the audience wants more information, there's a ton of it on Twitter. I want to say, is it clear?
A lot of it was confusing. I know that I had seen a couple of things where they tried to put like step-by-step things on it, and I'm like, I'm still confused.
So there's a lot of information. But the bottom line is that an author who was acting as a publisher had hired a couple of editors who were also authors, and they had written some things, previous books. So we're talking books in the past, right, that they've written, and somebody called them out for being racist. You know, there were, you know, I don't remember the exact accusation. I do remember one part of it was that it, you know, it was relying really heavily on negative stereotypes. But so anyway, so a few people started calling this one editor out, and then Courtney Milan, she is a famous historical romance author, a very well respected. She's been on the board of RWA. She's very outspoken about, you know, racism and basically she was brought up to the RWA, the ethics board. Now, at the time, she was actually the chair of the ethics board. So they asked her, I don't know if they asked her to step down, or I think they asked her to resign. And then they kind of created this behind the scenes ethics committee to then bring up and read the charges. And then they brought that to the board, right, a couple days before Christmas, I think, doing this behind the actual ethics committee, because they didn't feel like the actual ethics committee would be fair since Courtney was the chair of that group. So then they created this, and whether that was allowed by the bylaws or not, I don't remember exactly, but they did create another ethics committee, and they brought their complaint and their, you know, their findings to the board. Now, the board was probably one of the most diverse boards there was, and 2 days, or the day that they came out with this, they basically sanctioned her. They said that she can never hold a board position again. They basically punished her really severely because they said that she called out, and she basically had said something along the lines of that the book that kind of brought all this out, the book that this one editor wrote, was a racist effing mess. And now she wasn't saying that the author was, she was just saying that the book was, right? And, you know, it's kind of like a review. If somebody calls you out for a bad review, I mean, it's what it is, right? So anyway, the thing is that the board didn't get all the right information about what the ethics committee found. There was a lot of like weird politics going on in the background, a lot of stuff being hidden, a lot of secret agendas. And I mean, there's just so much information out there that points to just bad governance. And so the entire board eventually resigned. So we're talking, yeah, I mean, well, the authors of color that were on the board, you know, they immediately resigned, because when they found out what was really going on, and what, you know, they were like, you know, I mean, you know, in hindsight, my interpretation is they were manipulated by lies into sanctioning a author of color for basically calling out a white woman. Is you know, kind of the bottom quick little TLDR kind of thing, right? So it really caused a lot of drama. I mean, we're talking, it was in New York Times, it was in The Guardian, it was all over.
I know a lot of authors that aren't going to be supporting the RWA at all.
Right. A good couple, I want to say the last number I saw was a couple thousand authors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So where are you networking now? Like, is there another venue that you can use to?
There's a couple. There's the NINC, the National, I forgot, novel.
Something.
Yeah. So, but there's other trade organizations, but not one that's focused directly on romance. The science fiction and fantasy authors, their group, you know, they were like, come on over with us. You know,
the romance authors are super fun. Yeah. I love the romance authors. It was like, yeah.
So I mean, I chose to stay because I wanted to see if they would have elections. And they just had elections. So the board, this new board is going to be in place until August, and then there'll be another big election. And so I am likely going to just let my membership lapse. So I didn't resign because I did want to vote in a new, I was hoping that they would axe everybody, you know, get rid of everybody and start fresh, because there was just too much going on. So there is another board in place. I think the convention for this year can't be canceled because of contracts. So that's probably going to be pared down to like a real minimal type of thing. A lot of people aren't going. It's on the West Coast, so I was planning on going if I got nominated for Arita, but I pulled out book 3 from Arita because I wasn't gonna put my book up for that.
So did you come to the event that was here in Florida?
Yes.
You were here. I was there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was there.
You gotta meet up with her if she comes to anything by you, because she is the most fun person to hang out with. You've got to find her if she's ever anybody watching this. If you're ever at anything with this woman, you want to go find her.
You think we have more events here in Florida because it's Florida with Disney and Universal and everything, but they don't, or it's all the way down in Miami. It's nothing that's ever.
So I was in Daytona in February at Coastal Magic Convention.
Okay. I've heard of that one before.
Magic Convention.
You have to go. Coastal Magic Convention. It's basically, it's not all just paranormal and speculative fiction. Jennifer Morris runs that, and she does an excellent job. So, any authors and writers out there, if you want to go to a book convention, it's so hard because there are a lot that are like these fly-by-night companies that just kind of come up and 3-day book conference, or and then they disappear off the face of the earth and they're taking your money. So luckily that hasn't happened to me, but it has happened to some of my friends. So you have to kind of be careful. But Jennifer's been doing this now, I think 5 or 6 years. Huge event, huge draw. Brings in some big names, and it's such a blast. It's always in Daytona, and I've been there now 3 years, I think, 3 years in a row.
Nice.
And yeah, I'll probably take a break next year just because I won't have a new book coming out. But I'll be glad to go back there. It's a really well done, well attended conference. It's a blast. But yeah, that's in Daytona, so you should totally.
Yeah, that's way close.
Yeah, and they're always looking for bloggers. So they have basically, and they're a very active blogger group. So they have like, how you have your featured authors and you're going to have your featured bloggers, and so they have like this big contest where the readers win prizes for as many books of those attending authors, to read as many of those books that those authors have written. So I think some people end up reading 50, 60 books before they get there, and then they get to meet those authors. So it's a very interactive group. So if any of you readers out there love going to book conventions, Coastal Magic Convention, I'm telling you, it's wonderful. Not awful, but wonderful.
I have to go contact them.
Cool.
Tell Jennifer that Shaila sent you.
Okay.
She knows everybody.
Now I talk to everybody.
If I can spell your name right,
stranger.
I'm trying to put an E in it.
What'd she say?
Oh, I can't. I keep trying to put SHEILA instead of A. And it keeps.
That's my mom.
No, it's A.
My mom and dad. I have no idea why they did. Well, Shaila is actually an Indian name. So I always ask them, why didn't you just spell it SHAYLA? And I don't know why they didn't.
It's pretty like that though.
If I go to like a restaurant or coffee shop, I just always spell it SHAYLA because SHAI just stumps people. I don't know why. It just
it's like it sounds
okay.
It's really hard to pronounce, but then it really isn't.
Yeah,
it's a pretty way to spell it.
It's pretty.
Like what's your middle name though?
Okay, so my middle name, and here's a little Indian trivia, I guess. I don't know. So in the Gujarati community, your middle name is actually it's there to signify your patrilineal ancestry. So your middle name is actually my father's name. Okay, and then
I've heard that before.
Yeah, and when you get married, your middle name changes to your husband's first name. So basically, you're like not tied to your family anymore. You are now part of your husband's family.
But how do you do that? Can you do that legally though?
Yeah, you can change. It'll be like changing your name, right? So if yeah, so if your middle name is, Anne, and you want to change it to Sue, you can change it. I mean, but yeah, so you would go through a whole name change, whatever.
So what's your full name?
So I still have my dad's middle name, and it's Shanti Lal. So Shanti is peace, right? And in India, another thing, at least Gujaratis do, and a few other areas too, they basically, like, if you have the Mr., right? If you attach that to your name, kind of like in Spanish, even you have don and doña, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those little, I don't know.
The female, male.
Yeah, they're like, but they're like the.
I think they're called expressions.
Yeah, I forgot what they're called. They're not salutations, but they. So in India, they have several of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Lal, Lal, Bhai, Bhai, Kumar. All of those are that for, like, that this is a male, and this is his, kind of a formal way of saying his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Shanti is my dad's first name, but they added Lal, Lal, to the end, so Shanti Lal. And Lal basically becomes like the more of that Sir, Mr. But they kind of legalized it, when he came to this country, it kind of got thrown right into his name too. So
oh no,
it happens a lot, actually. So because you it's almost like it becomes part of, if you were to say, think about it in terms of like European history, right? When you have in the peerage, right? You have, Laurie, help me out here. You have you might have your name, right, John Smith, but you're the Lord of Wentworth Manor, right? So you're called Wentworth. You're not called John Smith, but then, like, if all of a sudden you come to this other country and people are still calling you Wentworth, it might end up on your legalized paperwork, and you're John Smith Wentworth all of a sudden.
Well, actually, I found out recently from Ancestry.com that my people were part of a special genetic community in Appalachia that came here as indentured laborers from England. So my people were either, well, they were probably criminals, actually.
oh no.
Go, Laurie.
I don't think there were any lords.
But I always thought that, because, like, I'm reading, if I read a historical novel and they're calling the the lord, or the duke or whatever by the name of the property, or whatever. I don't even know all the words about this. You can tell I don't write historical novels. I don't even know why I'm here acting like I know this stuff. Why do you ask me such hard questions? Next. But anyway, I'm gonna, next question.
So let's see, we're coming up on an hour. So what is everybody reading? Laura, are you still reading the same, like, 4 or 5 books you were reading before?
I am, because I haven't done the Six of Crows. I'm like super into right now.
I'm I'm 121 pages into the Shadow Wand.
Oh, I heard about that book. That has a very swoony scene. They did not.
I was supposed to finish yesterday, and I go take my shower because I did nothing but crochet yesterday. I went and grabbed groceries, and I'm sitting here, and I've got it in my hand, laying in bed, and my eyes are just. I woke up with it still in my hand, and it's like, well, whoops.
Yeah, it has it's a pretty steamy scene in it, and my new editor did not make me censor it, so.
It's like, how close am I to that steamy?
I'm not gonna tell you, but you'll certainly know when you get to it.
There's sexual and romantic tension, and now there's suspense. So Laurie's a mean author.
It's good. Because it, like, jumps around, so you get a little, like, a chapter from, like, everybody. But it's really good.
Yeah, I'm trying that whole multiple point of view thing. It's challenging to do multiple.
It is. Yeah. I have a hard time doing
two. There was a book.
What did you say, Shaila? What did you say?
Oh, I said I have a hard time doing 2. Right? I mean, 2 is hard enough, trying to keep 2 distinct voices, and
it's hard.
All that, but yeah, multiple.
There's another book out. Lindsay Cummings and Sasha Osberg. For the life of me, I cannot remember what the title is.
Oh, Zenith, and
yeah, that I ended up
Texas?
having to read that like twice because there's multiple points of view in it. But
I loved that book.
it was
I
really
haven't
good.
read the second one yet,
I did
but
love it. I haven't read the
it
second
was a
one
lot of
either,
fun.
but I
It's
like
like
how
that book.
your
Shaila,
point
that
of
book
view
is
is
like
so much better.
let me just tell her, Zenith is like it's like a YA Star Trek, only it's an all-female crew.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
It's really good.
I never read that. I think I followed her on Instagram or something, so I know who you're talking about, but I never read it. That's actually,
it's very fun. I like it.
Good. And I love Lindsay's other two books for the Myrtle Complex series.
Yeah, I heard that's really good. Yeah, she's got a new one. I guess it's her secret YA novel. I'm curious to see what she comes in with.
Ooh, yeah, 'cause she hasn't put anything out in a while, I don't think.
She's got something coming. I think next year.
Ooh, excited. So what are you reading, Shaila?
So I just finished okay, so I tend to like read 2, 3, or 4 books at a time. So Nicola Yoon,
I don't understand how you guys do that.
Nicola Yoon's The Sun Is Also a Star. I just finished that.
Oh, I love that.
That's my
so
50-year-old. That's one of her favorite books. She loves that book.
I was like left in such like this book hangover.
So good.
The 9-year-old is addicted to everything.
Yeah,
that
I haven't read that one. I haven't even read that one.
Read it. No, Shaila, you got to read her husband's book, Frankly in Love.
Yeah,
I have it around here somewhere.
So then I was and I've like I said, I've read like several like all at once, you know, and they go fast because a lot of times what I do is I'll have like an audiobook going. I'll have an audiobook for home, an audiobook in my car. Then I have a book that I'm reading, and then usually a book, like a physical book by my bed or whatever. So the next book that I've got next to my bed is C.C. Hunter's This Heart of Mine. So
that one was really good. I got C.C. Hunter at RWA when they were here in Florida. She's so cool. She just like plopped down on the ground and just signed all my books.
Yeah, she is amazing. Her and I roomed together at one conference, and I just love her. I love her. We get along real great. We did Teen Book Fest by the Bay in Corpus Christi a couple times together. Mm-hmm. So she's just a blast. Like I love her to death. But I have a copy of that book, and I've been dying to read it because I told her one time, and it was funny because I didn't know she was writing this book or that that it had come out. But you know the movie Return to Me.
Yes.
Duchovny, right? And,
yeah.
What's her name? Minnie Driver?
Minnie Driver, I think.
I think so.
And it's got the guy in it from the X-Files.
Yes, yeah, David Duchovny, yeah. So I love that movie. I love it. I don't know why. There's some stupid scenes in there, but it's still funny. You know, the acting isn't like 100%, but I just love the premise of the story. And so This Heart of Mine is basically kind of that story with a little bit of, more of a suspenseful twist to it. And so since I'm working on a YA romantic suspense, I was like, I've had that by my bedside now for months.
It's good. It is so good.
I love that book. So anyway, the audiobooks, I actually was reading or listening to Larissa Ione's Bound by Night. And it's an adult, but it's a vampire, so it's a paranormal romance. But her tension, I mean, wow, she's one of those authors that just throws things at the characters. Like there's like not a moment where I was just kind of like, oh, okay, it's just a lovey-dovey scenes or whatever. I mean, it was just like boom, boom, boom. Something was happening to the characters. It didn't feel contrived. There was just this constant like tension going through the book and the audiobook. So I love that one. I just finished that, and I immediately downloaded I think it's the second book, or the one that comes right after that. I don't know, because sometimes when you download books on Hoopla, they don't have the whole series; they just have a couple. So I don't know if there's others, but it was good and good narration too. So when you have good narrator, then you're like, oh, okay, you get sucked right into the story. I'm folding laundry and listening. And then I'm like eating breakfast, at weird o'clock in the morning, and I've got like another book starting, and but yeah, and actually no, I'm actually have another book too. What else am I reading? There's a couple that like literally going on all at the same time, and I think I just actually had downloaded something on Libby, that I no, I think I told him to wait a week, but I did. Oh, I just did finish Julia Quinn's An Offer from a Gentleman. That was like a Cinderella retelling. So that was right before, or and actually I finished that while I was reading The Sun Is Also a Star.
Oh my goodness.
Because I'm a mood reader. I don't know if you guys are like, sometimes I'm
am.
in the mood for paranormal, sometimes in the
Ten
No,
going right now.
I have a tote of stuff that I need to get through because I've been not reading because of everything that's been going on.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I sat down and redid my calendar. So I'm like, okay, what's the first thing on this list? All right, here's the 6th book. Boom. That's what I got to get through first.
But yeah, I have I have a weird way of reading. Like I'm just in a mood reader, you know. Sometimes I'll be like, I just want your real tropey romance, you know, like badass bikers and you know that He-Man stuff. And then like after the second or third one, I'm like, what is this BS? No girl's gonna do that. No self-respecting girl's gonna act like that. Not a badass heroine who's gonna keep the crowd from like 100 vampires. You know,
I'm all over the place. Like, there's my stack for this week.
Yeah.
So I got like vampires. I've got contemporary. I've got sci-fi, fantasy. I've got a little bit of everything.
I just another one that I read that was the Shifter book that was really good on world building. Because like a lot of the Shifter romances tend to be very formulaic, you know. I mean, romance has a formula, yes, you know, 1 + 1 = 2. We got that, but there's like, but even within the subgenres, you're gonna find some kind of tried and true, and again, if you want that formula because you want butter on your popcorn and that's all you want, then you know that if you're going to get that kind of story, you're okay with it, right?
If you like Shifter books, there's one that was out forever ago from Bethany Wiggins called Shifting. It will make you cry. Have tissues before you finish it because you will cry.
So, you said Bethany?
Yeah, Bethany Wiggins.
So this one was by D.B. Reynolds. I think it's an Entangled book, but it was Planet Shifter. And there's the 2 books that I've seen were Shifting. There we go. But the book was, the world building was incredible. Like basically this was a human colony that went, you know, they got kind of lost on some planets and they lost touch with them like 500 years ago. But the planet has its own DNA. And in order for them to survive, they actually had, like, there were a lot of geneticists on this colony that was being sent out for obvious reasons, right? Because it's a small, you know, subpopulation of humans, and they're going to colonize. So they have all these geneticists. So they actually created, I guess, they created the shifters by incorporating the DNA of the planet that was trying to kick them off and kill them to help protect them. So now you have, you know, flash forward 500 years into the, you know, now into the future. Well, you know, future. There's only so much I can do. You know, but yeah, no. So 500 years in that future, because it is the future. Someone, you know, comes there, like basically Earthers. They call them Earthers. Earthers will come there and find them, and they're trying to keep the shifter thing a secret. But it's great world building because it's not your typical shifter story. You know, like there's this shifter colony.
It's like science fiction shifters.
Right. So it definitely is. It's definitely kind of a neat premise, but yeah, that was by D.B. Reynolds, and it's Planet Shifter. But yeah, there's 2 books on that series, and that was amazing. But I mean, like, you know, even what was it? Maggie Studebaker's book.
Scorpio Races?
No.
Raven Boys.
Shiver? No. What is it? Linger. Shiver.
Shapeshifter.
Yes.
Yeah. Shiver. Yeah. No. Shiver. Anyway. It was really good.
Those were good, but that's what I love. I love the different shifter books, right? Not the the classic, oh, the alpha's looking for, female and some helpless woman on the side of the road.
Well, yeah, sugar was different because it had that whole temperature thing going, right? Like if there was a certain temperature.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was the one. And I'm not saying that those shifter books are, because like I said, there's sometimes I just want really tropey romance because I'm too stressed or whatever, and I want to know that when I have this book, I'm going to get exactly what I want, right? So but then you get these, they're more creative shifter books. I love those. I think those are the ones that I tend to kind of, crave, like, and in terms of just something new, and so this D.B. Reynolds, that she or he, I don't know who the author is, but definitely kind of fulfilled that. So I tore through those two books real quick too.
Woohoo.
Well, let's just say though, there are some tropes that are always good, like love triangles are always good. Always.
Some of them are, some of them aren't. It just depends.
Yeah, I always go for the wrong person. Always.
Well, see, that's why I loved Clockwork Princess from Cassandra Clare, because that is like the love triangle that all other love triangles wish they could be.
I'm gonna read that next. My kids keep telling me to read that, so I'm gonna read that next. Actually,
it's good.
Yeah.
I love the Shadow Hunter series.
Yeah, I remember. Speaking of shifter stories, it was Andrea Kramer's Blood something. She had a trilogy. It was a while back, but it had like that love triangle. And I'm telling you, I had the wrong guy. Get to the end, look at that book, and I was my Kindle across. I was like, no, this is not happening. She ruined it for me. No love triangles. I was just like, and then literally when I read Twilight, that was, because obviously I always pick the guy who doesn't know. Yeah, me too. That happens to me. That's why when anyone ever says it's a love triangle, I'm like, nope, not even going there. I'm not. And I have like really good friends whose books I am not reading because it's a love triangle. I'm like, nope, not doing it.
What about a love quadrangle?
Oh God.
I think that would just confuse me. I would be like, I'm very I have very, and I guess every reader is the same. I don't know. When you have like a romance, right? You expect to meet the hero and the heroine pretty early on in the story, right? That's the formula. So when you have a story where you have multiple points of view, my mind is like, wait, I'm trying to latch on, like, who's the character? I don't understand. Like, do we is that the guy? Is this the girl? What's going on? What's happening? So I don't like that in the beginning of a story. So like if you have a story where they introduce like 30 characters in the first chapter, because this might be book 12 of some series, I put it down. I can't, because it's too much. Like my brain just overwhelms,
Well, guys, it is like not almost 9:30, and I have to get up to go to work tomorrow. So it's like I'm kicking you off.
No worries. Well, let me do this.
Yeah. So guys, she's got some tea that is going to be up for grabs, and you're picking the winner on Friday. So please make sure to comment to the show. My brain is dead.
Basically, this is loose leaf tea that's inspired by my Soulmated series. There's an Irish hero and an Indian American heroine. So this blend is basically Assam tea that you'd find in Irish breakfast teas and Indian chai spices. So yeah, I'll send this out to one U.S. winner. U.S. only, please, because international shipping kills me. But it's really expensive, yeah. And then they come with these reusable muslin bags, so they're kind of like tea bags where you put them in, and then you can wash them and reuse them. So I'll send this out to one lucky winner.
I had to drop a package off at the post office today. This lady was mailing a package that was maybe about this big, about that, and she was sending it overseas, and it cost her like $60.
Yeah,
it's like that. Ridiculous.
I had a cousin who was delivering a baby, and I thought, oh, I'll send her a gift basket. It was like $95.
Oh.
And I was like, honey, I need to just give you a gift card. I mean, it was great. It was fun, you know. This was years ago even, but I never again.
That's crazy.
That was the UK. I mean, it was a big box. That was okay. $95 to ship it out.
That's expensive. And then she might see it in a month.
Right? But yeah, but thanks. Like Lisa Book Depository, it's great because you can sign. You could just send the book international wherever. Sign, but I can always send book plates. You know,
book plates are the bomb.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I definitely have to check out your books now.
Thank you. Yeah.
I want to read your short story. I want to read the short one.
Yeah. No, it's definitely it's fun. I think you'll like it. But you'll be surprised. I put a lot of stuff in 10,000 words, Laurie.
Yeah.
You'll definitely appreciate that.
It's so great to see you. Like, you know, how do you like, you know, typing, but this is fun.
I know. So I miss you.
Thank you for doing it.
See, this way you don't have to clean your house because this is all they see, you know?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, you notice the pajamas around me.
Yeah, I angled it away from the piles of laundry.
Thank God the vacuum cleaner's not in view right here.
So. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Bye, guys.
See you online.
Back tomorrow at 5 o'clock is tomorrow's.
I'm going to go look for the caveman book.
Yeah, you gotta look for it. And you gotta tell me too. The minute you read this book, you need to call.
I'm gonna read the caveman book. Absolutely. I'm going to look for that now. All right.
It's done well.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Good night.
We'll be back
by noon on Friday.
Noon
Eastern time. I'm gonna pick a winner noon Eastern time this Friday.
Woo. And guys, we will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. for the Order of the Seer series with Circe Murphy.
Cerise.
Oh, it's Cerise. Okay.
Cerise. And yeah, Shaila, these are great books. You might want to tune in for this. She's a really cool person. And books are really good.
Covers. Yeah. I was making all the buttons.
She has some of the best covers.
Amazing.
Ever. Yeah, I want to get you two together. You would like each other. Anyway.
I never meet a stranger. I never do. Nope.
Yeah.
The children have left the bedroom, so I'll catch you guys later.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.